when I'm 65 and they're
Right.
bringing their children to me, I want them to say, man, no, I want y'all to go meet the man that showed me how it's like to be a man through good and bad. Because I promise you, after a couple of seasons, they don't even care who you are, what you did. Like, all that goes away, man. They couldn't.
Yeah.
I was asking the players the other day to name me a coach. I said, name me a position coach in the NFL. They couldn't name two. So it's just more they couldn't do it. I was like,
you can.
they couldn't do it. They don't. We're here
They
temporarily.
don't.
So we're
That's
just
it, man.
contract workers, man. But I want to make sure how I impact their lives carry on to our relationship 25 years down the line.
Right,
And
man.
the things I said to you, did I stay true to it throughout that journey through the highs and the lows? Because you and I know athletes that have been at winning places, that have all the jewelry, all the rings, all the people act like all the women, and they cry in the corner because they don't feel like people invested in them personally and no relationships. And on the outside, it looks like they're doing fine. And then we read about the 30 for 30 of them not being able to give up a substance or an addiction because nobody truly invested in them. They just invested into their skill and talent.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. Shoot the shot. Come in.
Well, folks, looks like another heartbreaking loss for the Tigers. They go down in a nail-biter, 13-17. Back to you, Jim.
Yeah, coming in hot. Just like the fajita. I write what I live. My life in the speaker. I'm nice with the flow. Just like the demeanor. I'm feeding my fam. I'm feeding the meter. They got the iron, well I got the steamer. I bring the fire, but you never seen her. I testified on.
Welcome to another episode of 1317 Sports Presents Get It Off Your Chest podcast. I'm your host, Tito. Today's guest is a longtime friend of mine, a former college football teammate at the University of Tennessee Martin. We've been knowing each other for over at least 20 years. He is the current coach, tight ends coach, and assistant coach for the LSU Tigers football team. He hails from Memphis, Tennessee, although proxy of Chicago. He has been coaching on a coaching journey for about 17 plus years. He's now landed this position at LSU. He has graced me and blessed me with the opportunity to have him on my show so we can pick his brain. But without further ado, Mr. Oops Coach Alex Atkins.
Mr. Coach, baby, your man first.
That's it, man. So listen, man, I appreciate you, carving out, busy schedule as you're getting acclimated in Baton Rouge and, getting familiar with the offense and the players and the coaching staff. And again, man, I'm honored, I'm humbled. And hopefully today's session will insight, inform, educate, and elevate the listeners and the viewers. All right. So, but without further ado, man, how's everything going, man? How's the adjustment?
Wonderful, wonderful, man. Anytime you're choosing a place, you always want to look at the people first, and just the people in the building, the guys that you're around. That's what we do it for. And I've been fortunate every opportunity I've got, man. I've been around good people, so I'm spoiled in the game.
Yes, you are, man. You are spoiled in the game, but you're worth spoiling. It's it's not as if they just these coaches are just hey man, I'm gonna get you. All right, I'm gonna pick you up off the street. No, man, you have a resume, and so. You started coaching. When did your coaching journey start? You said, was it after your playing days at UT Martin?
Man, right after I got done playing, I jumped right into it. Actually, Jason Simpson actually convinced me of it. He was like, what you gonna do? I actually went to take the state trooper exam in Illinois, Tennessee, and he said my major was education and criminal justice. I said I was gonna teach or police. And Jason Simpson came to me and was like, hey, you ever thinking about getting your master's degree? We might have an opportunity if you want to, get into coaching. And that's where I started. And I never left, And that Sim tricked me. He put me in the equipment room when I first said I wanted to. But I think it was good because sometimes you don't understand that's going from player to coach that your value changes. When you're a player, your value is, playing on the field. But once you get done playing on the field, man, they really don't need you. So you got to kind of find a place to add value to the program to show that you're worth keeping.
I hear that, big dog. Yeah, so it's no different than when you were playing college football, right? Like, if you were not a team minded, person, and if you're not a team minded person, you're not a part of the common goal, and that's to win, right?
Absolutely.
To win and to grow, and that's the name of the game, right? So, so you're transitioning, right?
Yeah.
You talk about how you played, you played and you didn't have you weren't thinking about coaching until Coach Simpson started talking to you, right?
Right. I mean, I won't say I didn't think about it at all, because I did talk about teaching, and that was more on the high school level. So I went to my
Right.
former, high school and met with them about it, and it's a possibility. But I had good people around me and good advice. So people telling me, don't limit yourself, and you might can make a little noise in this business if you apply yourself to it. Just from coaches I played for that saw that in me, that kind of spoke it into me.
Right. And just to let you guys know, I played wide receiver at UT Martin, and Trip was, the guard. You played left guard, right?
I played left guard, absolutely.
Left guard. Typically a lot of times I was on the same side as you, the ball, because I played the X receiver. But you always graded out in the 90 percentile. And I mean, I didn't know anybody else on our team on our offensive line who did so. So that right there just goes to show you your football IQ. And so now you finish playing, you start coaching. You start coaching as a general assistant at UT Martin with Coach Jason Simpson, who's currently still the coach there. Absolutely. Now, and doing some successful things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I get right. And so I guess, we kind of talked about it, and I guess the next question I was going to ask is what motivated you to pursue coaching, and you told us, you were going to be a teacher. Yep. And this kind of and Coach Simpson kind of, came to you, and this kind of lined up, right? This Perfect. Is the same thing you're teaching, right?
Yeah.
And what
relationships?
Yes, relationships. And I mean, what's better than like teaching something that you already know? You already know it.
When you go from playing to coaching, it's a different light, because when I was playing, like you talk about, I wasn't a good player. I walked on the UT Martin. I wasn't a scholarship player. So I had to find every advantage I could just to kind of make it a way. I got there. I actually signed with McCorkle, a different head coach, and Griff came in, and y'all were the new signing class, that he was going to replace us with. So I was like, golly, man, I got to find a way to kind of stay on the team. So I had to lose like 60 pounds, and I used to just watch a bunch of tape on guys. I used to cheat practice too. I ain't never thought about this. I used to watch film on the players that were on our team too, to try to get an advantage. Just because I said, man, I had to remake the team with a new coaching staff. No, man, that's kind of what, I was just trying to find a way to get an edge on anything, just to,
right.
I was trying to, man, I was watching tape, and I guess that's what kind of helped me with coaching, because you take the mentality of you're not good enough, so you got to kind of put the work in and find those edges and angles to kind of get ahead.
Yeah, you never lie, my boy, especially when it comes to adjusting to new coaches, right? Because as you mentioned, you had Coach McCorkle, who had, who was part of many, many, many losing seasons at UT Martin. And as you mentioned, we brought us in 2003, my class in 2003, 43 of us, and only finished with 15 of us. But and then obviously we ended up winning the championship our senior year, and now they're, they won the Ohio Valley Conference 4 years in a row, and they're doing great things, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? So now you were at UT Martin. How long were you at UT Martin?
I was there from 2000, or coaching, I was only there for 2 seasons. So I was there for the 07 season and the 08 season. Oh, no, I changed that. I was there for 2009 as well. So I stayed for about 2.5 years. The first year I really don't count it. 2007, I mean, I was really just hanging out. I was still kind of finishing up my degree. I was still wearing street clothes on the sideline. And G. Wade, who now is the O-line coach at Georgia Tech, kind of was like, hey, look, if you take this thing serious, you might have to make some noise. So I would say 2008 was my first time taking it seriously. Like, I'm all in. He gave me the tight end job. And then 2009 was a good learning experience, because we had all that success in 6 and 7. I mean, we had that success in 6. In 2007, we just started off slow. Then 2008, we kind of saw it come back. So I would say those were the years I was there, that 07, 08, those 2 seasons.
Now, when it comes to, starting at UT Martin and having those 2 seasons, would you say like you knew from there, like you wanna move up in the coaching rankings, or was it like, okay, this is a job, you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, it's like a teaching, right? You talk about teaching. A lot of people get into teaching because they have a passion, but when they start doing it, once they start doing it, bro, they don't get paid, my boy. And how getting paid? They don't get much. And so then what happens is, you start looking at what you're getting paid to what you have to do, right? So did that ever even like creep in your brain at the beginning? It wasn't about money. Was it about growth? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it was more competitiveness. Everything, like when we got the job, it was just, we stayed in an apartment that Sim hooked up for us, and he hooked us up in the cafeteria. We get in the cafeteria just like college kids. And I was good. I was like, man, I get to do this and still kind of live that college life, because that was the goal. Just say, man, I got somewhere to live. I got somewhere to eat. I'm good. The rest of it, I'll find a way and I'll figure it out.
Right.
But no, my ambition was more just competitiveness. I just want to, you get done playing and you kind of lose that, go against somebody else. And that drove me a lot, just from going out there and they saying who the best D tackle was, or who the best team was, or who's the best guy on the team I would want to go against. So you kind of lose that. So that kind of gave me another way to still be competitive, and find a way to kind of, still talk trash to somebody, to be honest, because I enjoyed that. Yeah, I just like talking. I got a little of that talking about me. I enjoy talking trash. So it gave me something else to do, man. And also, man, I'm be honest, man, Martin, what it was, and people talk about, I loved Martin, Tennessee, man. I enjoyed my time there so greatly. I wasn't quite ready to leave, I don't think. So that kind of gave me a little bit more time to settle and figure out what I wanted to do. But no, man, the competitive part of coaching is what really drove me in it. And the coaches that were there were GAs that transitioned into it.
Right. And, we talk about, and you coach with a lot of different coaches, man, and you over there looking like, you're looking like Mike Tomlin's nephew right now.
That's a real ball coach,
and
yeah.
we talk about, and listen, I was on the first episode was with my brother Ray Edwards, former NFL defensive end. You're good, brother. You're good.
Was it loud? Could you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it. It's all good.
Yeah, we're good.
I'll be able to reduce that noise, man.
All right, there you go.
But I was talking to my brother Ray Edwards, and we spoke about Mike Tomlin. He had a little pit stop down at UT Martin, and he was Ray's defensive coordinator at Minnesota his rookie year. Actually, he wasn't even a defensive. Yeah, he was. He was a defensive coordinator his rookie year, and then he ended up going to Pittsburgh, and this was 07 when he went to Pittsburgh, and he's been there ever since. And so, UT Martin, man, it's maybe a little small school in the middle of West Tennessee, and but it's had some coaches come through there. So, so you go to UT Martin, and I'll have a list, my boy. I got a list.
Come on.
I got your resume, my boy. I want to put you to the test, though. All right. How many? I want you to try to list them in order.
Come on.
All right. So, first school you coached at, coach football, college football at, was UT Martin. What's the next school?
Marshall.
Yep.
I went to Marshall and GA. Yep.
Yep. All right. Ding, that way. You got the question.
I lived it.
What's the third school?
Etowamba Community College.
Yep. Hey, listen. Hey, from 2010 to 2011. What's the next one?
UT Chattanooga.
Hey, listen. Listen. I'm gonna tell y'all. I got this right here in order. I got it in order. I have not shared notes with my boy. All right. So he goes to UTC. The next place.
Georgia Southern. Oh yeah. I know.
Yep. He's at Georgia Southern from 14 to 15, coaching the offensive line coach.
Yep.
Now this is when the stuff starts getting juicy, because this is when you starting to grow. Yeah. Next stop after Georgia Southern.
Tulane down in New Orleans.
That's it. Back in New Orleans, right?
Yep.
So Tulane down in New Orleans.
Yep.
And this fool, like he told me earlier today. Hey, New Orleans, bro, they got that food.
Kept me big. Kept me big. I kept eating, still eating at it.
But it brought him back. And so, all right. So after Tulane,
yep,
right. Which and you were
at UNC Charlotte.
Yep, UNC Charlotte, and you were there with one of our brothers, Brandon Cooper, who's coaching, because I remember you and Brandon
Chattanooga too.
Yep, at Chattanooga. And where you guys you wasn't at Georgia Southern together, were you?
No, so me and Coop hooked up at Chattanooga. He was transitioning from Jacksonville State. And it was crazy. Crazy story is me and Cooper were roommates in college.
Yeah.
And when he got to Chattanooga, we were roommates again. We lived together in Chattanooga. So I said, bro, we got to do something about this. They're going to think we together. So, but at the time, he was about to get married to Tasha and going through that deal. So I was still single.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he got to Chattanooga. He's like, man, you might as well just post up. You know what I'm saying? We hip, save a little bit of money. We wasn't making a bunch of money.
Yeah.
We lived together in Chattanooga for a while. And then, we transitioned out when I went to Georgia Southern and Tulane. And when I came back to Charlotte, he came back as the co-defensive coordinator.
Yes,
now,
sir.
we ain't lived together then. Cooper had kids, wives. He had made a little bit of money by then.
Yeah, my boy, I was about to say, listen, hey, like you said, hey, it ain't to each his own. I'm not tripping. Anyways, you at Tulane, you at Charlotte,
Go to UNC
right?
Charlotte.
And then after UNC Charlotte, where did you land?
Florida State.
Florida State.
Mm-hmm. I'm there for 5 years, man. Long 5. I was there for 5. The longest place I'd ever been for that long was at Florida State for 5 years.
Right. And then of course after there your current place is of course
LSU Tiger, baby.
The LSU Tigers, SEC, right? So you go from the ACC, Florida State, and then of course now you're at SEC LSU. Now when it comes to your resume, I see that you 1 year, 2 years at a place. Then you finally get to your 8th stop. 8. Right? 8, your 8th stop. And now you're able to get some longevity with 5 years. Now, when it comes to that, that stability at Florida State, how were you able to get that opportunity to kind of show the nation and show your peers like, hey, I know what I'm doing. Right. And so who was that coach who brought you to Florida State?
Well, it kind of goes forward with there's kind of 3 names that come up. The first is Adam Fuller, who was the defensive coordinator with me at Chattanooga, and he happened to be with Mike Norvell at Memphis at the time. And then they kind of brought up they were looking for a line coach, and Adam Fuller was the original guy that kind of brought up my name into the conversation. And then it transitioned to Norvell doing his research, and he called Willie Fritz, who that was my head coach at Tulane and Georgia Southern. And they made a connection and kind of, pulled my references and what I had done with him, because I was with Willie Fritz for 5 years as well, but we were at 2 different places. So I was Willie's O-line coach at 2 years at Georgia Southern and 3 years at Tulane. So I might have been at 2 different places, but I was with that coach for 5 years. And so those are the names that kind of, got me in the door. And then David Johnson, who was used to be at Tulane, that was with Mike in Memphis, that happened to be at the University of Tennessee before he transitioned to Florida State, had heard about me. And then, Mike, he started calling around, he calling these names, and those are the guys that kind of vouched for me, that kind of gave me the opportunity. And also when I came to Florida State, it wasn't, Mike was coming in kind of on a front end deal to come in and kind of rebuild and help and kind of take the program to where it wanted to be. The position I was coming in to coach was not considered to be a highly, skilled position at the time. It needed some work and things just from attrition and things that happened in the past, but some great coaches have come through there. So, I mean, it was an honor to kind of get that opportunity, because that was my first power 5 or power 4 opportunity coming from calling plays at Charlotte. Because to be honest, when I was calling plays at Charlotte, that was my goal, because not many times they let O-line coaches call plays. So
correct,
I went there to be able to call football plays and also still coach the line, which is sometimes unheard of.
Right, unheard of, my boy. So when I remember, I watched you. I've been watching you since you started coaching. And I'm one of those people. I'm a check in time to time, but I'm a football guy. I'm a sports guy. Sports. I can honestly say it saved my life. Football saved my life. I'm coming from Cincinnati. And get me to Martin and get me around just a diverse group of guys. And you were one of those people. You know what I'm saying? And so it's yeah, man. I'm thankful, bro, that the Lord blessed me with some type of athletic ability where I could have, extend my playing career and get me out of my surroundings.
Don't downplay yourself, man. So, you weren't just somebody, man. You was a baller at it. You had a chance to be the greatest receiver in the UT Martin history. And
yeah, man.
Unfortunately, you had some things happen with your injuries and things like that nature. You were not just some athlete.
Yeah, I try to be, Crazy Trip. The crazy thing is this, man. Like, and I don't, this is not about me. So I don't even want to take it there. And my boy Ray was trying to do the same thing, and I'm like, nah, bro, this is not. All right, look, half of the people that I know don't even know I play football, man. But I definitely appreciate that, man. And I missed the game, And at some point I'm gonna get back into the game. But right now, this is as close as I can get, man. But I'm all about uplifting, motivating, and getting the best out of individuals that I possibly can. And at the end of the day, that's kind of how you've been able to succeed. And I want to get to that. You've talked about your journey and all the coaches that some of the coaches that you coach with, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But coaching philosophy, right? Yep. You're able to get. Trip, you had this long career thus far coaching in college, and you're still coaching. That means something. That means that you're successful at what you're doing, and a lot has nothing to do with the X's and O's, but it's about getting the players to believe and to put their best foot forward on and off the field. So when it comes to your coaching philosophy, what are some of your core principles, strategies when coaching, like offensive linemen and tight ends, and just college football players in general?
Man, it's quite simple. The game doesn't define you. This game is very volatile. I mean, you have ups, downs, valleys. Man, I was watching Jalen Hurts' speech after the Super Bowl of talking about I'm the same guy that got benched and had to transfer, that they booed, and all these things. This game, it'll go all over the place. So finding what you're rooted in, and when I get around a room or I get around players, it's more because I'm in their life temporarily. I'm not going to be there. I got them for a temporary time where I got them full attention, full focus. And what kind of impact can I have in that small time? There's really two things I want to do, man. I want to penetrate them, let them know that, number one, this game is not going to define you. Now, how you play the game and the things that you do to display your preparation things, your character is going to show, how you prepare for the game. But the game doesn't define you. That doesn't make who you are, because every legend will be forgotten. We make these mantras and these deals about, oh man, be a legend, this guy, and to be honest with you, man, most people can't name a lot of players that played outside of their generation. And so how you are as a man and the character that you're building in that small moment is going way past the moments that happen on the field. But you also want to show who you are when you get to display your talent. The next thing is motivation versus inspiration. And I got this from Coach Fertitta, who was a great friend of mine and still doing great things. But he talked about motivation is temporary. We give a lot of motivational speeches, and we try to use, a lot of coaches use kids as pawns to further their career and their aspirations. And you get caught up in that it's very tempting, to kind of go back on your word on things, to use kids to kind of grow yourself. But I try to just inspire them to be as great as they can at everything that all the stuff they don't want to do. Let's try to be great at those things. That was one of Mike Norvell's deals is trying to force these players to be great at everything they do and just excel past football, because it fades. So there's really twofold right there. I want to make sure that they understand that football doesn't define them, but it does display who they are. And number two is we want to inspire instead of motivate. We don't want to motivate you to anything. We want to inspire. We want to figure out what you want to do, who you are, what you're about, and how can I help you get where you want to go. And what's your why, so I can keep reminding you of your why to keep you going, because it's such an up and down journey, man. You can't go moment for moment. Like it'll drive you crazy,
Right.
And so you better make sure you got, some ready for some early mornings, late nights, some deep thoughts, some dark places, because it'll expose all that about you and really force you to, decide who you want to be and who you are.
Right. Man, dude, hey, listen, you couldn't put it any better, man. Yeah, I want to come play for your ass right now, my boy. I'm telling you, hey, listen, you've always been to me ahead of your time with your maturity, and your knowledge. And just for you guys, I just want to let you guys know, like, when I play with Trip, we call him Trip, right? We call him Trip because, hey, that was his nickname when I got to Martin.
Absolutely,
he used to wear the triple girdle. The triple girdle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for some of your players, right? We call him Trip. He's Trip. He's forever gonna be Trip to me. Alex Atkins and all that, he coached, but he Trip. But like, you've always been ahead of your time to me with your mentality and you still the same now. Just listening to some of your philosophies and how you get the best out of these kids on and off the field. Like this is the type of stuff like, man, type of stuff you used to preach when we played, man. Like I never seen you rattle, my boy. Never. Only time I seen your ass rattle is when your ass was getting them body cramps and your whole body was rattling.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
That wasn't no fun. I can promise you that.
No fun down that West Tennessee heat. I'm gonna tell you, but yeah, man. I see, and again, this is one of the reasons that Brian Kelly called you. Your name is synonymous because you're able to get the most out of these guys, right? And so, with that being said, and your Coach Norville brings you along to Florida State, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's kind of giving you some of these, instilled in you and some of these philosophies and his mindset.
Absolutely.
And so you go to Florida State, and as you prefaced earlier in the conversation, the head coach gets that job, and it's really just to kind of see if he's going to pan out, because Florida State, they hadn't won. They had been down in the bottom of the ACC and the national rankings for quite some time, which was unheard of. So he gets there, he brings you, and then you guys start having success. So some of the achievements, including the turnaround of the offensive line and the team's impressive performance in 2023, which you guys, you were at the helm of calling plays then. Take me back there to 2023 at Florida State, and this is when I'm one of the many people, like, first and foremost, I was just juiced up there, my boy, trip at Florida State. Yeah. And I'm thinking you coaching just, positions, position coach, offensive line. Then I see you get promoted to become the offensive coordinator. So tell me, that 2023 season build up, right? Tell me how, you were chosen, like, hey, Alex, we want you to start calling the plays, from offensive line coach to now you calling the plays. Tell me how that transpired.
All right, I'm gonna go back. So the reason I came to Florida State was Mike Norvell, because he called the plays in Memphis, and he called the plays at Arizona State, and he was a great offensive coordinator. And I thought it was a way, because that was my goal, to call plays. So it was more of like, all right, let me go to a great play caller, and kind of figure out, how he does it, so maybe I can get better. There you go, get some light. All right, so the reason I came to Florida State was Mike Norvell, because of how he called plays and the offensive production he had. So when I came as the line coach, my goal was to come learn from him. And I'm going to learn how he does this, because eventually I want to transition to be a play caller. And to be honest with you, Mike called the plays in my entire time there, but I was learning how to transition into that and seeing how he did at the level he did it, because he had been a Power 5 coordinator before. So I became the coordinator in 2022. Our OC, Kenny Dillingham, left to go to Oregon. And he went up there, and now he's a head coach at Arizona State, doing wonderful. I was just hanging out with him at the convention. So it was really more learning, because, he had did it. I called plays in Charlotte. We had a winning season, went to the bowl game, but he had been calling plays long. So I said, let me humble myself and go learn from somebody who's done it at a high level for a long time. So that's why I went. So the journey really starts in 2021, because we were bad at 2021, 3 ball games. And 2021, we started off slow. And then we ended up winning, I think, the last 4 out of 5 games, kind of building some hope. And we finished 5-6, I believe, or 5-7. And then the next year, there's a lot of hype coming in, and got the same players coming back and things. So we go 4-0, we lose 3, and then we end up winning the rest, and we end up going, winning 10 games, finishing 10-3. So now the hype comes into, we got the quarterback returning. Our O-line became one of the best in the ACC at that time. We lead in sacks and things like that, and a lot of that goes to, I don't know who the quarterback was, the running backs, everything we had going on, but we started rushing the football. We became a stronger unit. And we lose a bell cow in that group, a leadership piece in Dylan Gibbons, who really kind of, bolstered that group that came in and kind of gave us some more philosophical things that kind of helped the group become one. And then the 2023 season comes on, and now we have weapons everywhere. So we kind of transitioned to more use those weapons. We got Keon Coleman, we got Johnny Wilson, we got Jaheim Bell, we got Trey, but we got these guys that, all right, now we got to kind of, we got to kind of spread this thing out and kind of have some more success. During that season, of course, I'm influential in the game plan. I'm in every game plan meeting. I'm there with the head coach side by side, me and the head coach and coordinator, we're building these game plans. But it really came down to, learning how I now transitioning from the 22 offense to the 23 is we had more weapons. So we threw the ball a little bit more. And, kind of got into that. And Jordan Travis really grew as a passer, is why he got drafted. Oh, and then that was the first time the awards started coming. I'm an assistant for the Brewers Award, and we get the Joe Moore Finalist Award for the O-line, and all these things are happening, which kind of lead to us going undefeated in the 23 season. But it was also a learning point of how to go from that to get to that point. And also college football is changing. NIL comes into the picture.
Yep.
Expectations come into the picture.
Yes, sir.
And not only is it new for, some of the guys on staff, but it's new for the players because their situation coming to Florida State changes heavily from that when they sign to what they become after the expectations come out of the 23 seasons, and learning from that process of going through the 24 season of having failure again and guys who maybe needed to perform a little bit better, or maybe I need to put them in better positions, and learning from that time too. So that's the good thing about this deal is that it's a full journey, man. Like so I couldn't just go and say, all right, just the 23 season. I mean, just to kind of recap of how we built it, from successes to failures to learning moments to all this kind of stuff to kind of get to that 23 season, then reset and have to replace 10 NFL players and guys who had success for the first time and realizing, oh man, maybe that edge or that it wasn't as there because you talk about we're gonna win the conference, we're gonna do these things, and then you get it, and it's like, all right, now, what's my motivational piece? Then I got a little bit more money, and so finding these unique ways as you learn as not only college football is changing, but just everything.
But yeah, so you, and I'm gonna tell you this, bro. That year when you in that 2023 season, which unfortunately ended with before the ACC championship with Jordan Travis breaking his leg, right?
Absolutely.
And you mentioned some of the pieces, right? Like that you were able to get, like Keon Coleman, the transferring over, and then you having this offensive line, and you mentioned some of these guys, Gibbons and Robert Scott Jr., who are all Americans. So you get there and now, I mean, you have the ingredients, and so now you calling these plays, and then of course me and a lot of other people in the nation, because college football is big business, right?
Oh yeah.
And so going back, staying on 2023 when it comes to Florida State and you guys' success and your success. Jordan Travis breaks his leg.
Yep.
Right? You guys are undefeated. You end up losing the ACC championship, but take me back to when he breaks his leg. Now we know on TV and all this stuff, you my brother. Like this is real stuff. This is what people on the outside don't know, right? Everybody else is reacting like, oh my gosh, bro, or blah, blah, blah. Is that how that's how you felt when he broke his leg? I know it's always the next man up.
Absolutely. I mean, it was more just the effect that it had on the guys that been through the journey with Jordan. Jordan's journey is unique because in that very same stadium, he was booed and benched and replaced. And we've had other quarterbacks in the room that a lot of people were calling to play on top of him. And he just stayed, like what I talk about, it's not about those, it's the complete journey. And so he has finally got to that point where, he was the guy. He was the guy. There was no quarterback controversy. There was nobody else. He was the guy, and he led the team coming back for that 23 season. So what happened was you had a team that really, really wanted to see him succeed because they knew how he was playing and what level he was playing on. So when the moment happened, it was more of an effect through the players more than anybody because of you see their reactions of like, not because of per se the injury itself, but the journey it took to get to that point.
Right.
And everything that went into what they were about to do, they wanted it to be with him.
Right.
And that's what you kind of work through. It's not just next man up. Everybody understood that the game wasn't going to be canceled or shut down, but it was just more of the reality of that one human who went through those things and sacrificed so much and went through the ups and downs and the boo to getting benched to all the stuff that happens to all of us. We all,
right.
You're going to figure out that failure comes as fast as that success, but to still overcome it and keep going. So it was more rallying our players to say, all right, that happened. That's real. Because you had some guys ready to go to the hospital in that moment. just because of who he was and what he was to the team. So I think that, it built some guys. That was the first time they had went through something like that, so they learned from it. But, I mean, of course, we went on and we won the game, and Tay came in and did a good job. But it was just more the players, the letdown of not just the moment, but the journey it took to get to that moment. And they knew what was in front of them, and they were very confident of what was going to happen with them. So the very next game, our whole team had T-shirts made up, and I mean, it was just a celebration of him going forward. So I would say, yeah, I mean, the reaction to the public was a little similar to most of the people on the field.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it wasn't much difference. Now, the coaches, our job is to rally everybody up and, like you say, go back and inspire them to keep going and understand now the mission is the same, but there's still we still have a goal set, and now it just goes from, we're still doing it for him. And
Right.
And to see those players come back and finish it out, and pretty much all of them went up to the hospital after the game and sat with them and talked about how they were going to finish the season for him, because that's what made it unique, was the individual that it happened to. And
Yeah.
and
His
that's
character.
what,
He has that good character.
yeah, no, I mean, just character connection. I would say connection, because you go back to, I mean, to anything, I mean, from quarterbacks, from Kenzie Milton being there to James Blackman to Tate Roderick. I mean, you play quarterback at that level, they want to change you every day. There's, and he went through that process fully and became who he was because of what he went through to get to that step. So that was more of what the reaction was. Is like they wanted it for him. They wanted to see him at the Heisman Trophy celebration, which he still ended up, being a
Yep.
part of. And they wanted to
Yep.
see that happen for him, because at the time, Jordan Travis was Florida State. He
Yeah,
was
man.
he was the one the catalyst that took it from whatever moment it was to what it became in that season, because he was on the football team.
100%. 100%. And, we're speaking of the players like Jordan Travis, who kind of, obviously, hell, and make your ass look good too when they, when
Everybody.
you,
He made everybody
look good, right?
Yeah,
so
he
I
was
remember,
a really good player.
I remember talking to you, I think it was a year before or that season. I remember talking to you briefly and talking to you about Trey Benson. I was like, man, that number 3, bro, that boy nice, and so you had people like Jordan Travis and Johnny Wilson, a standout wide receiver, made significant contributions to that 2023
He said on
team.
Johnny Wilson, me and him are related. Yeah.
Hey, bro, listen, bro. You ain't just saying that, bros. We all like, hey, that's my cousin now. You know what I'm saying?
He really is, man. Through family lineage, and it was unique because his family was like, no, it's your cousin down here in Florida State.
Wow.
So that was a unique deal.
Hey, a lot of beasts come out of Florida, my boys. And so you had Robert Scott Jr., you had Dylan Gibson.
Yep.
You had Gibbons, excuse me. Then you had Keon Coleman. Now Keon Coleman, he's playing for the Buffalo Bills, and he's a character, bro. Like, he's a character. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you saw him, he made his little press conference when he got drafted. He talking about his Macy's coat. And he seemed like a pretty humble, down to earth type of dude. It's like, was he the same when he was playing at Florida State? Because I know he was a transfer. So was he the same? He had that, right?
Keon is one of the more smarter players, that I've dealt with, because everything is not as random as people think. He's very smart. He's very knowledgeable of the game. He came, and the reason why he came to Florida State was because of Jordan Travis. And the brand, of course, he wanted to market himself. I mean, when he came up on a visit, and some guys were, we had some coaches that were down. So really it was just me, Mike. And I mean, I know Dugans was there. He was a little sick, under the weather, but he was still a part of the journey heavily. But I got to meet with him and go through things as the OC. And the main thing that stood out through those meetings was him paying attention to Jordan Travis. And I think more than just Jordan talent, he fell in love with the story. He said, man, I want to come help him too. Man. And their connection got even stronger. So that kind of speaks to Keon's character of, like, of course, when you're in the portal, you're looking out for yourself, but he connected to Jordan's story moving forward as well. And he continued to play and still rep Jordan and takes up for him every chance he gets. So, Keon is a smart guy, man, humble. He came, if he sees somebody getting picked on or talked about, he going to jump on their side, because that's just how he's always been. Now, he's going to be authentically himself. He's going to be that. Now, he's not going to sugarcoat or cowboy in the room, but he is really looking out for everybody around.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Keon Coleman, man. I know you had your rookie season up in Buffalo, didn't go out. Your team lost, of course, in the playoffs, but man, have a promising career, man. My brother talking highly about you, and hey, come to the show, brother. We need to educate. We need to educate the young people so we can elevate them. We want to hear your story. They want to hear your story, your journey. Somebody can always learn and pick up something new based off of storytelling. Hey, listen, I'm trying to get as much, get as many stories out there as possible, because I'm telling you, man, uplifting and encouraging others, bro, is what it's about. Because there's always a diamond in the rough, but they just need somebody to coach it out of them, to bring it out of them. You know what I'm saying? But man, a lot of great players, a lot of success in Florida State, and of course the next year, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know the story, and you don't got to get into it too much, but you get suspended. You were suspended at the start of the season.
Yeah, I was. Missed the first 3 games. You out here taking steroids. No,
this man out here taking steroids, man. Performance enhancements. Hey, coaches doing performance enhancements now. I don't know what that was.
I wish that was the case. I'd look a lot better sitting on this camera.
Yeah.
But it was a real situation, because it, me, man, I'm even Kevin. I can roll, I can, kind of push through whatever. But something that we don't realize is how it affects the people around you. And hearing, that was, I think, some of the most people in my life, first time hearing me do something that I wasn't supposed to do.
Right.
I had been looked at the guy that always, on point, taking care of business, and then they get an ESPN article saying that I got an NCAA violation, and and I'm suspended, and then might go get fired. I mean, all these things kind of go about. So it really just taught me how much people look to me to make sure I was on point and upstanding and hold integrity. The good thing about it is what I was violated for as an NCAA violation is it's not illegal. So
man,
it wasn't and I'm not gonna get too much detail of it, but just what I got caught with is not an issue anymore, so nobody else will go through that. And I think it also brought light to the situation of nobody else will have to endure that. And I think I was built to handle it. So if I can say, I was glad it happened to me instead of some people who couldn't have went through that journey. And I also had a lot of support from Florida State. They were very supportive. They went through the process day by day. I didn't have to worry. And they were, they made sure that the process was upstanding. They were there with me, hold on, because they could have just said, that's on you, go take care of your business. But they stood there with me each step of the way, which made it easier and kind of more smoother. But, we made a decision to kind of put it to bed a little bit quicker and to kind of move on, because it was an unprecedented time of that stuff coming out, and what you can and what you can't, and things of that nature. And sometimes I'm guilty of being a little bit too much involved with my players and making sure they're making good decisions and things of that nature. But the good thing about it is all that's in the past, and also
100%.
What I was violated for is not on a violation anymore. So
hey, my buddy, listen, hey, my buddy, hey, this man was he was the first and last. You feel me? Like,
the only one.
My boy was the first and last. Like, hey, look, okay, cool. Yeah,
I had a lot of phone calls, man. That's boy, what is going like?
Listen,
this guy, this person, what they got you out of here, like so.
I didn't even entertain you with it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't entertain you with that. I ain't do none of that to shoot you a text, because I shoot Trip, AKA Coach Atkins, AKA Mr. Atkins. I shoot him a text from time to time, and sometimes he'd get back to me, but then sometimes he'd get back to me 2 weeks later. But it's just the life of coaching. It's the life of coaching, especially when you're at Florida State or LSU or Ohio State or whatever, a Power 5 school, and you're winning, right? Your emails are flooded, your social media is flooded, and so I get it. So
I had a lot more than 23 than I had the year. I had a lot more text.
Yes, and then we segue into it. We segue into that. Going into you have this success in 2023, my boy, and now we get to we're going into the 2024 season, and they don't have you. Oh, they don't have you, and so it starts. Of course, and you lose a lot of people in the draft. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you lose. I mean, I have 3 people off the top. 2 were on defense. And one of those 2 defensive players won the defensive rookie of the year award for the Rams.
Yeah, Jerry
Burst.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and
dominant force, man.
The dominant force, right? So you have Verse, you have the other kid, number 50. What's the other kid's name?
Braden Fisk, who also was up for the rookie of the
Fisk.
year.
Yeah, up for the rookie of the year. And both of them are playing for the Los Angeles Chargers.
The
and
Rams.
then you have your the Rams, excuse it. My bad, y'all. My bad. Yeah. But then you have Keon Coleman, who kind of, leads that group of names, right? Right. So you end up, you lose offensive linemen, All-Americans, in that same draft. You get to this 2024 season, you're suspended. You have a new quarterback. You have basically a whole new, a lot of new pieces. Now, you guys don't start off good, right? Like you and I both know, playing at Martin, when we play at Martin, like, the mindset is after you lose when you lose your first 2 or 3 games, I don't care who you are. I don't care, especially in college, because you only have this shorter time in college. You like, yo, bro, we gonna be struggling. So did you know that? Did you know that? Like, of course, you're coaching these guys to get the best out of them, period. And I don't want to, I'm never going to, jump on a kid's case because they're kids. I'm not one of those people. But did you know the talent level had dropped off significantly? And obviously you were not there the first 3 games. Did you know watching from afar that this was going to be a struggling season in 2024?
I'm going to go a little bit earlier for you. So we lost 10 players from the team who were really impact players. We lost some players also that wasn't drafted. So the thing about the whole deal that makes it even a polarizing deal was we actually were returning more in my position than most positions. So we were returning a lot of guys that we felt like could be a strength, going through the season, where you had the guys that played a lot of football, and Rob Stott, who had been through a lot of injuries in his career, supposedly we had got him the right things for his body and could possibly come back and help. And, things of that circumstance didn't turn out the way we thought. So you lose a lot. And the number one thing you lose is the quarterback and what he was to that team. Correct. You kind of make a reset. So you lose. Basically, it was 10 players. You lost the quarterback, the running back, the 2 outside receivers. We lost Dimitri Emmanuel inside, who's now coaching at Florida State, who was with me at Charlotte and actually transferred to Florida State. And he was a first team all conference player that did a really good job. We lost Casey Roddick, who's coaching up there at Georgia State now, who came from Colorado, who really helped us a lot in filling those voids of the Dylan Gibbons and the guys. And we lost Jazz Turntine, who was really helpful for us. So we had some guys coming back in my position, like, you had Darius Washington, you had Murray Smith, you had Rob Scott, you had Jeremiah Byers. You had a lot of returners coming back to the position that it should have been a good unit coming back that we can count on. And we added a couple of pieces. So it was really more, if you really talk about reflecting, of like, all right, we got a lot returning in this spot. And, we're going to be new on the outsides and at running back and at quarterback and D-line. And, you got to fill all of these spots. So I think it was clear that there was when I say talent level, it was a amount of proven talent that left the roster, that had been through hard times, that had been through losing and having that edge and the chip on his shoulder. So now I think, the talent level, of course, was different, but you also had an unproven talent on the roster. Some guys that hadn't done it and maybe were there when we did it, that didn't have to go what they went through to get to that point. They maybe thought that they didn't, might not have had a full understanding of what it takes to get what those guys got from going through those years in the previous time. So you compile that of why, things happen the way it is because everything in our business is expectation and previews and what it's going to be and things of that nature. So, we had a lot returning at the unit. I was responsible for the O-line unit, and then everything around it was being replaced. So, we came in with a lot of lip service saying this is the unit we can count on as we build these other units. So that's where it's like, oh my God, that's not how it ended up, or that's not how it turned out. So that's what more kind of goes into, all right, there's a proven talent versus unproven talent, because there was some talent on the roster.
Yeah. And
then now, things can kind of, we're like, all right, I'm going to stop there. But that's where it started going into the season.
Right. And of course it ended horribly. You end up losing your job and you're there for 5 years, great success.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I'm one of those people we can, as instilled in me in college, control what you can control and get through the uncontrollables.
Absolutely. Man, I enjoyed every second at Florida State, even the good and the bad. Things happen throughout the 24 season that are beyond most people's control. And I won't share most of those guys, stories and information,
Right.
but we should have been a lot better. So that's the thing. We're in a results-based business. So what I love about what I do for a living is that, it either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
There's no in between. There's no, what is happening? This happening. No, it either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
If it isn't, I want to bear the responsibility of it being isn't. Because, that's my job to make sure it is.
Right.
Whatever transpired, but when I walked away from it, when they walked me away from it, what I learned was that no matter what, I stayed true to my word to the players I had in the room. When I walked into the room, I told those players, I'm not here to run you off. I'm not going to use, this platform to kind of just act like this is dog eat dog. I'm going to invest in every player in this room as if I recruited them. And I'm going to invest in you. I'm not going out there to just throw you to the side and bring somebody in for my personal gain. I am in this for you. So I'm going to get everything I can out of it. I'm going to get everything. Now, I'm going to add some pieces and we're going to recruit and we're going to bring guys in, but I am going to give everybody in this room an opportunity to showcase themselves because I know what you went through before I walked into this room. And I know, you meet with these parents and these players, so I wanted to give them every opportunity to, as if they were my own children, and the opportunity that they got. Now, we had some truthful conversations, ups and downs, injuries that, nobody really know about, but I wanted to be true to what I told them when I first walked in that room, when I first accepted the job. Because when I walked in, I was a nobody. I didn't know who I was. I was coming from Charlotte, never been powerful. So it was just like a no-name. So I had to connect with those players to get the most out of them. So the guys that were there, I would say we got the most out of those guys that was in there. Now, you need to be a lot better? Absolutely. We need to, hire a team, better players, all of that needed to be done. But my loyalty was the men in the room to make sure I did what I said I was going to do the first day I walked in there.
Right. And now, with that being said, because I would consider you a player's coach. You a player's coach. You're just like your brother Mike Tomlin, and you and Mike Tomlin, but y'all players coaches. And when kids, well, I just say in general, not even just kids, just people, because I'm in sales, and that's what you're doing. You're in a sales position.
Absolutely.
Coaching is a sales position. And and like you said, it's a result-based business.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And sales is a results-based business, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's uncapped potential in sales. You can make as much money as you can, as long as people like you. You can get people spend money with you. As long as your players like you, you can get the best out of them.
Absolutely.
Right? It's all about relatability. And so, do a lot of your former players they keep in communication with you? I'm sure.
All of them. I just had all of them take me up today. I reached out to a lot of them because they're going through a process and just want to check up on them. You good? You're all right. Because what I used to talk about in my meeting all the time is that, man, you talk about privilege and these things. We are the privileged ones because you get to be criticized. You are the ones that people look to talk about. That comes with success. Like when you say, I want to be successful, I want to make the kind of money I've made in my career, I want to play at these universities, what you're doing is you're separating yourself and you're putting yourself in front of a screen. With success comes points. You are now the privileged one that gets the arrows of what you chose to become. Because if you don't want to do this, you can hide. You can say, you know what, I'm a coach at a place that doesn't have this kind of attention. I'm going to go play at a place that doesn't have this kind of attention. And you don't have to worry about those things in your life. So when you get into those small rooms with those players and understanding that all the criticism and all the attention you get and all the this and that comes from success, because most of them haven't done what you've done. They haven't been a full scholarship NIL athlete. They haven't. So coach at these places. So now when you're in a performance-based success level business, you get to get criticized. You get to get called out. You get to be made fun of. Like, that's all good because it's a privilege to be in those business. That lets you know you're chasing success the way you need to be chasing it if you want that smoke.
Right.
So it was really just trying to change their mindset on, I hear players always talk about, man, I don't listen to that. I agree. Block out the noise, but understand why there's noise about you.
Correct. Though. Hey, look, recognize it though, because at the end of the day, you don't want that smoke, right?
Yeah.
And it also it's a mirror for you. You know, that's the thing I would say about social media has its, you know, it has its pros and its cons, but you know, with the younger generation, especially the athlete, you know, it's totally different than, you know, Facebook came out, you and I sophomore year, I mean, college, you know what I mean? Like that, it's when you know. So like, you know, we're that generation where they put this, we had cell phones in high school and texting, and minutes were free after 9, you know what I'm saying? And YouTube came out when, you know, junior or senior year of high school. So we're that generation, and our kids now are those kids knocking it down. But you can use it if you're seeing that negativity. Maybe I'm not paying attention, but if it's warranted, you need to pay attention, because you need to change what you're doing so you can get to where you need to go. And for me, it's vertical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, you know, I agree with kind of the premises what you're saying of like, hey, sometimes it's real. Like sometimes you need to hear these things. And I'm not saying you need to know it to get motivation, but no, I think it's just you're in a place in your life where people talk about you because you're in a successful position. And when you hit those positions, now you are the ones that people are looking to.
Yep.
Now, all right, man, don't mess this up. You making this money, you doing this. Why you ain't working? Why you ain't doing this? Because it's just like when we grew up and we were playing ball and we're outside playing ball and the man on the corner ain't supposed to be doing nothing. It's like, and why you ain't out here early today? Now he on the corner, ain't did nothing, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Smell like he ain't washed in 10 days. But when he sees you outside carrying a basketball or a football, he immediately criticizes, like, "Now I saw you out here yesterday. Why you went out here early today? I saw somebody else out here early today." That's what sometimes that noise is because you are what success can be.
Correct.
So they just want to make sure you're upholding, like, man, you got a wonderful opportunity that maybe some of us didn't have. Yep. So don't mess this up. Yep. Like, so work a little bit harder, maintain it, man. Stay focused. And that's what most of it now. Some of it's just noise and banter and things of that nature, but it's just more of why, like some people will live their entire life and never have anybody talk about it. Never have a conversation, a thread, or anything, you know, because they're not in those positions. So understand that it is a privilege to be in that position. It is God-given. You got to earn it. You got to continue to do it. But you're in that position because you are considered to be successful or chasing success. So that's the price you pay for those positions.
100%. That's kind of the analogy that, you know, professional athletes kind of, you know, have to have, right? Like, you know, you playing, I was talking to my brother last week, Ray Edwards, you know, and he played at the highest level, not just, you know, a bench warmer. He actively played a starter, you know, opposite of the, you know, a Hall of Fame defensive end, Jared Allen.
Yeah.
He had to, you know, he still had the same mentality from high school to college to the pros, but it had just to change and tweak a little bit. You have to adjust because you don't want to, you didn't sign up to be someone's role model, but that's just what comes with the territory, right? It comes with the territory, and it's something that to each his own. It's something to be proud about, right? Like, you have an opportunity to change the mindsets and of a lot of young people around the country, if not around the world, right? And that's why and that's why this podcast, you know, 1317 Sports presents Get Off Your Chest. This is one of those platforms for that, right? It's to be seen, it's to be heard. It's not for just self. It's to motivate others, to encourage others, because you know, as we play, you play ball, you've been coaching. I mean, a lot of these guys are coming from obscure home lives.
Of course.
Right. And this is. I'm
gonna go deeper for you. So this is what I took into this year. You know, you go from a highly successful year to a failure year. Now I have a responsibility to be what I talk about, because that's what we tell players, man. You know, hey, man, it's raining. So what, man? We got to get to work in. Hey, man, my arm hurt, man. Hey, you ain't injured. That's just pain. You know, all these things we talk about of trying to be that consistent person throughout good and bad. Now I have to display it, because when you're going through a season like that, they're looking at you. And they're trying to say, all right, is he gonna be? Yeah, I mean, he gonna change it up now that we ain't what we like. Is he gonna change the? I mean, like, how is he gonna? What is his body language like? Is he moving differently? Is he treating me differently? Like, because now I got to be the example of what a man looks like during highs and lows. So I'm still bringing my daughter to family night. I'm still bringing my wife up and taking her to dinner on Thursday. I'm not saying, hey, this is going on, no more dinner. I'm still, taking time to invest in their lives and talk about them, what's going on, and asking them about. Some of them have children, and some of them went through a lot of injuries they never even had before. I had a kid, I won't say, put it out there, but like he had a neck injury. He was supposed to be all world this year, supposed to shut it down on one side for us. And he was going through that process and he just wasn't feeling like himself. So I'm suspended the first 3 games. He's going through that for the first time. He also got some stuff in his personal life of going through things first time with in the type of relationship he's in. And so now he's looking at me as the example. All right, let me see how you going to be. You going to come in here, oh, I'm flipping that, all that. Can you show me what it's like to be a man going through these tribulations? So that was more important to me than, man, we in coaching, dog. They got statues of people they ran out of places. They got, Bill Belichick is the head coach of North Carolina, so, he won 3 games, they got him about it. So that's going to happen. You're not escaping that. You are not escaping that smoke, I promise you. You can think you are, but I promise you they own you. So, that's going to happen with the result of it. But those young men, man, I'm 40 years old. Those young men got a long life to live. When I'm 65 and they're bringing their children to me, I want them to say, man, no, I want y'all to go meet the man that showed me how it's like to be a man through good and bad. Because I promise you, after a couple of seasons, they don't even care who you are, what you did. Like, all that goes away, man. They couldn't. I was asking the players the other day, man, name me a coach. I said, name me a position coach in the NFL. They couldn't name 2. So it's just more they couldn't do it. I was like, we're here temporarily. So we're just contract workers, man. But I wanted to make sure how I impact their lives carry on to our relationship 25 years down the line. Right. And did the things I said to you, did I stay true to it throughout that journey, through the highs and the lows? Because you and I know athletes that have been at winning places, that have all the jewelry, all the rings, all the people act like all the women, and they cry in the corner because they don't feel like people invested in them personally and no relationships. And on the outside, it looks like they're doing fine. And then we read about the 30 for 30 of them not being able to give up a substance or an addiction because nobody truly invested in them. They just invested to their skill and talent.
100%. And that's a good moment to kind of segue into, mental health, right? Mm-hmm. Mental health in athletes is a serious thing, man. Like, a lot of football players, at least where I played and then, and people I played with and of course, just watching the demographic on television, they're a lot of them come from broken homes or some rough neighborhoods, and the sport is their savior, right? If the sport is their savior, you hear the stories many a time, players who've made it, whether it's basketball, baseball, soccer, etc., at their highest level of the sport, and they have a story, and it typically is one that's going to choke you up, right? And so with you, and you're the father, you're a lot of these young men's father, right? Like my father, your father figure, right? Father figure. I know. But in their eyes, though, Trick, in their eyes, they gonna think I'm outside. I know.
No loss.
But you're a father figure, and Absolutely. That's the thing when you're recruiting, right? You're going on these recruiting trips, and you're talking to these parents, and and they're trusting you with their kid, right? And so you don't hear that a lot, big dog. How you just explain that when it comes to holding yourself accountable, when it comes to things that you've told your players, current and in the past, because they're looking at you. And it goes to this. I always say this: everybody doesn't have to know what you do, right? Your personal life's your personal life. Don't broadcast it everywhere. Everybody doesn't have to know what you do, right? But at the same time, what you display, man, it has to be on, because you are going to be Someone is always watching. I say that all the time, man. And that goes to character. You're right. If someone's always watching, but enough of that, right? So now we'll just get back
to that. I'm gonna give you one more.
Talk to me.
Because I was fired November the 10th. And this is a character moment because we feed our players for Thanksgiving. That's where they come. So I get fired the 10th, they still in my house on Thanksgiving. Because am I gonna be salty? Am I gonna be not who I am? Am I not gonna be this or that and this? No, man, they all came to the crib. We ate Thanksgiving together. So that was after the fact, and they all came over. And the ones that, of course, they didn't have family, and that's what I'm saying. Those moments are more important for those young men more than anything. Like, man, you know what? Throughout all situations, he showed us what it's like to be, to take, like to be be your authentic self through highs and lows. So now I'm getting calls of what they doing, and I'm checking up on you. Good, coach. I'm good, man. I appreciate it. That is what means the most to me, because
right.
And I'm gonna be honest, man. I've been in this game, and I didn't have many coaches that I looked up to a lot. I mean, Bill Legg, G Boy. I got a couple coaches I still connect with. I live and die for, but those coaches was the one that poured into me and told me, said, Alex, pour to the players' lives, and you'll go through up, down. I was talking to my boy TB, and he up there with Variable at Pages, and it's just like, you're gonna have the ups and downs. One coach get fired, another team's happy to get him.
They are. They are, but boy.
That's the part of it. But for longevity, you better make sure when somebody picks up the phone and calls one of your players, they can stand for your integrity and your character, because that will always outlast all of the other things.
100%. 100%. X's and O's out the window. Like character, everything. Like period. Again, for you young folks, young viewers are watching this, whether it be some of your current players, some of your former players, any aspiring professional players, or kids who have aspirations of making it to a Power 5 school or a Power 5 conference. Like, listen to this. Like, yeah, we chopping it up. We brothers, but these are nuggets. These are nuggets, and they're simple nuggets. A lot of things in life are really simple. It really is. We just make so much of things. But again, this goes back to mental health. Again, that's a serious thing. And if coaches, if players are fortunate to have a coach like you, my boy, like, hey, listen, brother, nothing but, hey, I'm thankful, right? So you leave Florida State now. Of course,
hold on, I'm gonna stop you one more time, because
talk to me.
I'm gonna tell you this one nugget. It's for me and you, and the listeners can do it today. There's so many people in this game that have had wonderful players that can show you wonderful PowerPoint presentations and things of that nature, that when that door closes and you walk out of it, and the things they say about you and who you are and like that. Is it working? You can see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, good. So I've been in those rooms where they show you this great PowerPoint presentation, they show you all the guys, and they talk about this, and they wouldn't even never let you stay in their house unless they had.
Right. They
wouldn't even mention you or call you after the fact you played for them unless you went to the league. Right. And everybody has a purpose in this game. And I'm here to just light it up and let you know, man, I done done it. I mean, we didn't went to a place we had success. Best success pretty much where I went. I had a bad season last year. It was awful. And I take full responsibility for that. But at the end, those lives that were with me, they know they with me.
Right. Man, I appreciate you sharing that too. And again, sports, again, it relates to life. Again, I love football, bro. The game gives me so much, and man, this just ignites me talking to you, and you dropping these facts. This is so far, man. This is great, Trip. And this is you guys listening. These are nuggets, young people. All right. So you leave Florida State. You leave Florida State. It's not long. I mean, it's not. You say November the 10th is when you get, and you say that again, goes back to that character. It goes back to that. It's not always about the X's and O's. It's about how you're able to get the best out of your players, right? And so you leave. You get the phone call. You say you and I talked about this.
I get a text message from Brian Keller, and I didn't know he had my number, and he says, Alex, I'll be at the convention, and I want to spend some time with you. I was like, all right,
I want to take this moment to talk about mental health. Mental health is it's a serious thing. A lot of current football players, basketball players, baseball players, etc. Mental health is something to take serious. If you guys are having struggles mentally, please find help. Reach out, talk to someone, and get the help that you deserve and you need, and be that light in someone else's life. So I just wanted to take that time out to recognize mental health awareness. And my boy, you didn't wash your hands, man.
I did, bro. I did. I knew you were gonna say that. That's why I did it. That's why I left a little wetness on there for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just make sure. But
Yeah, man.
I hit the handstand right out. So they got a little sand.
That's it, my boy.
You know, I like when we go to people's house. I'm gonna tell you what people do. When you go to the house, they get that strong smelling soap. So if you don't wash your hand, they can smell you when you come out.
They know, my boy. Listen,
but they know. They be like, "I don't smell the soap, bro. You wild."
I got it. So anyway, I got them in all the bathroom.
Yeah, just so you know, if you walk out, I know if you hit that thing or not. Straight elbow dap. So no, man, I get a text from Brian Kelly, man, who texted me and you know, he kind of said, "Hey, man, if you got time, I want to spend some time with you." And I had opportunities, going through, you know, I had good opportunities, you know, once the news went out that I was available. You know, I was blessed with options. I was blessed with people reaching out and you know, and guys I've connected with and people I know in the profession who really were looking out for me. So when he reached out, he said, you know, I want to meet with you. And it's unique when you're going for a job that the head coach hits you first. So that was a unique deal, you know, because he texted me and he hit me up. So I got into, he kind of came through and he wanted to sit with me at the convention, and we met at 7 a.m. in the morning, at one of the convention mornings, and he kind of went from there. And I tell you what, Brian Kelly was sharp. He knew he had already did his research. He caught around and he knew about my resume better than I did. He talked about players I coached that he knew of and a player we had in common that came from his place when he was in Notre Dame to play for me. And he talked about, you know, how he felt like he did with us. And he was very, you know, upfront of what he wanted it to be. And at the time, you know, I wasn't sure about the opportunity. I mean, LSU is the spot. I mean,
it's the spot, my boy.
University. But I wasn't sure kind of what I wanted to do directionally, because sometimes when you get these times, you get to kind of step back and say, all right, what do I want to get out of the profession? What do I want to do? Because, you know, my original goal was to call plays. And that's what I came to Florida State to learn how to do. The position he offered me, you know, took me a little bit out of my comfort zone a little bit with the O-line. But, I mean, I've coached tight ends before. And he gave me a run game coordinator title because he wanted me to, you know, come assist in the run game and let that be the main focus for LSU.
Yeah.
So, of course, then the offense coordinator, Joe Sloan, reached out to me. Brad Davis, good friend of mine, O-line coach there, been a friend of mine for a long time. People don't know Brad actually reached out to me because Brad was like the first guy, you know, who we knew in our circle that kind of made it to the big time football as an O-line coach, especially a black O-line coach. He was the breakthrough. You know, first it was Brandon Jones, who's in Missouri now, and then it was Brad Davis, who, you know, came afterward, and he was, you know, at Florida, Missouri, Arkansas, now LSU, and he really would go and get the game and give it back to us. You know, he would say, hey, look, I was at here, and let me tell you how you do this. You know, he would kind of pass that game along. So to come in and kind of help assist those guys, and like I tell you about, it's the people, and also to come learn. I mean, you know, they had one of the top passing offenses in the country last year, and to learn and to continue. And also, man, it's LSU. What we talking about?
Yeah,
it's one of the greatest
institution
in college football. Everybody know that logo.
100%, my boy.
So
100%.
I was like, you know what? This is a chance for me to you know, go into a place. I'm familiar with Louisiana. I spent 3 years at Tulane here. Also go in and work with wonderful coaches who are going to do wonderful things regardless of me, and just have a chance to, you know, learn a different style of offense to also, you know, and help, you know, and hopefully I bring some value to assist where they want to go. And you got a team that could possibly win that championship. And so all those things kind of lined up for me and made it a very easy decision.
Right. And so, you know, now you're there, right? You leave Florida, you know, of course you didn't leave, you know, let you go. Now, when it comes to, now when it comes to some of the players, like once they found out you were leaving, did some of them jump in the transfer portal because of that? Or
no, I mean, I didn't expect. I mean, you know, one thing is that, you know, that was the biggest compliment for me. First of all, I have a great relationship with Mike Norvell. and those guys, there's a lot of guys on that staff. I got a lot of personal love for him being one of them.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
so I would
Norvell.
never do anything to try to derail whatever's said. And he gonna do how he want to do it, but I ain't want to do anything to derail anything that could possibly limit that or hurt it. So that was not even going to be an option. That wasn't an option. So everybody that reached out to me, it was, nah, man, you need to finish it out. Those are your brothers. Same deal.
Right.
And really don't let, and hopefully if I taught you anything is throughout the circumstances, don't make rash, be authentically who you are and be what you said you're going to be to the people that's in the room. So the room is, you hope you make the room not about the coach. So, that was never the goal of playing out. We had some tough conversations with some guys and the one thought, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't think there are many better than Coach Norvell and who he is and what he's about. So this is not a bash. Well, you know what I mean? Like, no, I want Mike to be extra stuff. He said the same thing after he let us. One of his first press conference, he said, I'm doing it for those guys as well because, we're not even in year 6 unless those guys were a part of it.
Correct.
So we did some wonderful things there, man. I did some wonderful things. I credit a lot of the information I got in college football to Mike Norvell because I'm thankful for the good and the bad lessons. Those are some of those are the best ones because now whatever I think I did in the past, I get to learn from and correct. So, and
correct.
I would, that's always the main focus, man. So no, there's no beef, man. That's the business. And you're in the business of winning. Yep. You ain't winning. There needs to be a consequence to it. Like we tell our players, there's a consequence to non-performance. So no matter the reason, circumstance, you come up with 10,000 sad reasons. It was or it wasn't. And it wasn't.
That's it.
So I think we got to do something to make it better.
That's it, my boy. And, I just want to, pause for a second because, you talk about Mike Norvell, and so you told me it's an interesting story that the stars like the connection, it's a small world. We have over 355 million people in America, right? Like, and really probably like 400 million, So I remember you told me this story, my boy, about Mike Norvell. We played against him in college in Central Arkansas.
He was the receiver. Well, he was a UT he was a receiver.
And I
but he was the second. Remember, they had the other guy.
The tall guy, the big tall dude.
Yeah.
He was number 3. He must have
went crazy on his though. Like he had stats on his too.
Mike wore number 3, I believe. But
I don't remember his number, but we played against each other.
We did, the crazy thing is this trip. We win that game. I caught the touchdown at the end of the game, and it was unbelievable. It was great. And you listen, I'm gonna tell you this: after our junior season, bro, I was trying to transfer.
Yeah, I know. We talked. Yeah, we talked what they got.
Listen. Central Arkansas. Arkansas was like, they was
throwing that thing.
Offensive coordinator he emailed me back. The offensive coordinator emailed me back. Told me I can do it right away because they're about to move.
He said before tampering.
Yeah, he he tells me if you transfer now, because we're moving up to the 1AA. These call it 1AA at the time. We're moving up from Division 2 to 1AA, and if you transfer now, you won't have to sit out a year, right? And so I'm like, it all boiled down to I can't leave my boy. I can't leave my brothers. Like I just came down to that. That's what it came down to. I can't leave, and I'm happy because we ended up winning it. Championship for the first time in school history the next season. But, I thought that was a funny story that I'm like, you coaching, it's a lot of different other coincidences. And you talked about, Doc Gamble and Doc Gamble, shout out to Doc, shout out to Mike Norvell. Love to have y'all on my show, if the stars align. But, Doc Gamble, it's no me not talking right now.
Yeah.
If it's no Doc Gamble in my life, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit is crazy. But I just had to pause for that quick story. It's storytelling, you know. So you
White Mike was out there playing receiver, baby.
White
Mike, baby. Mike was cold.
Listen, it's so funny because playing that game, so he gonna remember that. He remembers the end of the game, and you're like, yeah, that's my brother. Like if y'all talking about like. Yeah, he gonna remember that.
Right.
It's like if you talk to Rogers Camardi, and played, he had a long career at in the NFL from Tennessee State, and Cortland Finnegan who played at Sanford.
Yep.
So I think, I don't know if it was you or somebody else told me, like, the crazy thing is, Tito, if they played against all these people and they were cornerbacks and they played against top talent in the NFL, if you ask them who Tarian Stevens was
They're
to
like, I
you
know what
in
that is.
college,
Yeah, they're like, I know what that is.
I'm like,
Look,
it's
the
just
people
crazy.
don't know.
It's just
You
small.
slept
It's a
on
small.
them.
It's
No, it ain't got to do with small world. You was putting that work in. Like they remember, like you was on
putting that
all the
work in.
lists. Like, man, whenever they watch it, like I gotta cover him.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you. You talk about the coaches. You being that coach for a lot of these guys, man. Like, and we don't remember a lot of. We have a lot of coaches in our lives that come in, especially in college. One day they're one day, they gone the next. And so, the coach for me, just like you, was Coach Kevin Cahill, who's the head coach at Lehigh University.
Still good.
And he came in my sophomore year, and I was with him for 2 years, man. And he the best coach I ever had, man, because he let me be me, and at the same time he also challenged me, and he's forever like imprinted in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I talk to him to this day. And so, that's what you bring to the table. So Brian Kelly done called my boy. Brian Kelly done called my boy. Yeah, he got his number.
Yeah.
He got his number. Like,
Yeah.
so that means that you doing what you. Hey, listen, that means that your resume speaks for itself, right? So now you're at LSU. You're coaching the tight ends. You kind of back to where you came from, tight ends, and you guys are going to y'all gonna run the ball. Period. Like, you guys at LSU you're gonna run the ball, and of course, when you're able to run the ball, it allows you to open up the pass game. And that's the beauty of football. You need both. You need passing, you need running. They complement one another, and it just kind of throws the defense off, keeps them unbalanced. And so now going to you're at LSU, right? Now, when it comes to the time of the season, it's the time of this season where it's kind of like off season or whatnot. And I know you typically always like recruiting. You're always on the road.
Oh yeah.
Now, tell me, when it comes to the recruiting process from when you started to where it is now, the landscape now, is it easier or is it harder for you as a coach when it comes to recruiting now that NIL is played a major, and the transfer portal has played a major role in the game?
I think the big adjustment is the portion of power, where the players have a lot more power in the situation, which causes the coach to be more authentic. You can't capture these kids no more. You can't recruit them and tell them you're gonna play one position and move them when they get there. You can't tell them where they're gonna be at a depth chart and they get there and then what you said. So I think on one element of it, it causes more transparency from coaches, because we got to tell you the truth, or they have the option to leave. And we have to be held accountable to what we're saying to them, and the things they say, we hold them accountable to. I think the relationship part of recruiting will never go away. You still got to build a relationship. Now, there's another component with this NIL. It's real. It is not a fantasy. That's real life.
You got some players making more money than you.
Perhaps that's a part of it, and some of them deserve it too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's just more of finding the dynamic of balance of, all right, coaching is adjusting. You can't say you want to coach and then also dictate the terms. So I have to adjust to whatever the young men need me to be in order to try to keep some type of, growth and learning in their lives. So what I have to do is adapt. So I would say, yeah. Is it harder? Yes, because there's another element of distraction. And your job as a coach, which basically just comes from a covered wagon, and a coach is a covered wagon to take you from where you're at to where you want to be. That's what it is, stage coach. So, all right, I got to say, all right, let me navigate this. Let me learn it. Let me see it and make sure I'm still that rock of consistency form as much as I can, with integrity, character, and making the right decisions as I can. Yeah, they're going to make some wrong decisions after. I have to still keep the main thing. The main thing is, why am I in this profession, and why am I doing what I'm supposed to do? I can't run from it. I can't duck and hide and ignore it like it ain't happening. I have to, all right, let me adjust so I can still lead these young men to become better men once they come away from me. So yes, it's hard. It is, because there's more. They're dealing with more distraction I had to deal with. We didn't have, thank God, we didn't have the things that they have. If we just had Chat GPT, I don't know where we went with that thing. But
hey, listen, once we got Facebook,
We thought
so
Facebook
many,
was just to poke the girls walking through the halls. Like, that's all we thought it was.
so many cats was getting in trouble.
On that one platform. But we ain't know what we were doing. And I was like, we wasn't ready. We couldn't handle 8 social media platforms right now. We were already stupid. So it's just not. Yeah, with TikTok and what we did Snapchat where you can
Man,
send
oh my god, man, we've been all types of trouble, boy. We've been all types of trouble, my boy. Like,
yeah, it was been bad.
Yeah, so the athlete, especially nowadays, they have so much more to kind of to balance. You know what I mean? Of course, and it's also about branding themselves because of the NILs, right? And so it's, we talk about NIL, and you are now at LSU, which were the first real, like, Power 5 school or any school that jumped on NIL once the Supreme Court passed it, right? They were the innovators. They hired they create a whole department with the staff to help the athletes get NIL deals, do commercials, etc. And you guys, I mean LSU, of course, last year, when you were still at Florida State, you had Jaden Daniels, who's estimated made $600,000 in that one season. He was, transferred
beyond the girls' basketball team, the baseball team, and just as an athletic department, this university has done a phenomenal job of fostering their kids.
Right, man. And of course, you guys, I have the number one grossing NIL athlete, which is Livy Dunn, or the gymnast. She's.
I know this. You putting
you
me on
don't know
game,
this? Listen. I'm putting you on game. I'm gonna put you on game. So Livy Dunn, and she's an intelligent young lady. She's her boyfriend plays in Major League Baseball. He was an LSU pitcher, star guy. She is estimated to make $4.2 million this year in 2025. Yeah. She's estimated to make has made $10 million approximately in her.
That's well out of my tax.
Hey, listen,
well out of my tax.
Ready? And this is at LSU, and she's a gymnast, my boy. Yeah. So
Angel Reese is her, bro. And I'm telling my age a little bit because I'm not I ain't in the game like that. Well, I don't know much of that stuff. I'm more, like I got a 2-year-old and she 2 in April. So like that's but that goes to show, like, that's wonderful. I love that because that's running to the issues head on instead of whatever. I don't want that. No, man, let's go figure this out because I'm a coach.
Right.
So let me figure out the information and then go coach.
That's it. Because at the end of the day, those athletes may get that NIL, but they have to still be relevant in the sport, right? So they got to be coached. So if they're not successful, and it comes success, it's a process, right? You got your coach who's going to train you, he's going to teach you, he's going to implement the plays, and then you're going to have to execute. Everything comes down to execution. And so if you're not performing on the field, the court, except what have you, though, in that NIL money will go away anyway.
Don't matter.
So it don't matter, right? It don't matter. So, but yeah, I just want to throw those little nuggets out, those stats for you. I don't know if you knew those, but
put me on.
But
that's
that's big. So now, when it comes to some of the, still get acclimated with the team. How was the reception from the current LSU football players once you arrived?
Well, it's wonderful because, once you recruit at the levels of Florida State, LSU, you pretty much we all know all the players.
Yes.
We're very familiar with these guys. So a couple of guys that, I know from either recruiting them or getting beat on them and recruiting by LSU and things of that nature. It's always good to see those guys. And you also, they know the players that you coach. So your first reception is always going to come from them talking to, man, tell me about, like, hey, because they all know each other. They call, hit them up on IG and say, hey, tell me about Atkins. And that's going to be your first introduction to the players. So if you were not who you say you were with other players, those players got their own network where they're going to snitch on you and call you out. So my reception have been warm because of the investments I made in the lives before I got to.
Right. Yeah, sir. My boy, I can't stop smiling, Trip, man. This is my
Real,
brother. You know what I'm saying? This is my
real
brother, man.
conversation. You know me,
This
I
is
don't
my
be saying nothing about it, man.
100%. So you get a good you get a welcoming reception, which
Oh yeah,
is your resume speaks for itself. Now, who are some of the players? Are you coaching tight ends, right? And who are some of the players that we need to look out for in this upcoming season? Who you think who's going to make like a name for themselves, an impact? Because as
man.
you mentioned it early in the conversation, based off of the roster, from the coaches, the coaching staff to the players, it sounds you said like, hey, we got a potential national championship team right here.
Man, and that's one thing that attracted me because of, like I talked about, you got Brad Davis, who's the O-line coach, who's done wonderful, who's going to have, probably the first tackle taken in the draft, and Will Campbell. So the things he implemented in his system, I get to go kind of watch him work and see how he did things and grow from him. You got Joe Sloan, who was the OC of Louisiana Tech. Now he's the OC here. Got an NFL quarterback who been here, went through it. This is year 5 for that quarterback. Who stayed in the system, didn't transfer, was behind Jaden Daniels the whole time. They came last year and threw for a bunch of yards. So now he's coming to his ownership of the team. And then you got you got all these pieces around. You got the receiver coach who sits, I sit right next to him in the staff. I'm asking him, hey man, tell me about this route, boom, boom, boom. Like, why you don't do this, So I'm stealing that information from him. And then you got young coaches around too, man. You got Frank Wilson, well, not a young coach, but he's a running back coach. If you say LSU, you're saying Frank Wilson. Tied into everything. So I get to steal his knowledge. He's sitting on the left of me. I get to, because he handles a lot of discipline, and he's the associate head coach. So he's doing a lot of the speeches. He's in charge. The lay of the land. So I'm stealing that information from him. You got a bunch of young coaches on the other side that probably could be running it just as good. So I get to come into a system where not only I want to impact, but I'm learning. Man, I'm in a situation to learn. Now, the player wise, not only going past in the tight end room, you got Trey Ayers, you got Sharp. You got some guys that's gonna really showcase themselves. But what I don't want to do is put that pressure on that's already on. So what I'll say is that
hey, listen, I don't care. Hey, listen,
got a good team, and they're working hard. Hey. And we got spring ball coming up.
Yes,
I have a little bit more detail for you after spring ball.
Yeah, my boy. Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. You don't go to LSU. You don't go to LSU, bruh, if you're not talking like this. Period. I love it. Hey, I want that smoke because some players, right? What pressure? Like I came here to win a chip, right? I came here to win it. I'm at LSU, right? I don't like. Yeah, you get to get. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. So you ain't saying nothing wrong, my boy. You put no pressure on them boys. They got you there, and y'all got the common goal. And listen, the expectation is, hey, let's win the chip. And along the way, let's build some unbelievable relationships that'll never be broken. As they say, Trip, what they used to tell us, hey, I don't care if you win a conference championship. I don't care if you win a national championship. When you win a championship with a group of players, right? You are connected for time and all eternity.
Absolutely.
Like it's time and all eternity. It's the stories. It's the memories. It's the grind. It's the blood, sweat, tears.
My heart. You speak to my heart because when you see those old teams come back, and I was at Florida State, they had a bunch of old teams. Yeah. And what I watch is that, and I'm not in particular talking Florida State. Anytime you watch a team come together, so let's say it's the 79 or the 87 championship team, whatever year it is. And you see them guys come together, man. You see tears and hugs. But you know what else you see? You see a crowd that don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They do not care.
They don't care. The you know why? Because all that's important now is the relationships of what they had when they was in those moments.
That was it. That's it. The relationships are the things. Those are the things that last the lifetime. Trophies, they tarnish. Rings get lost. Diamonds get, fall out. Memories, man, they last a lifetime.
Lifetime.
And that's one of the, like you and I, 20 years. I'm talking about, man, trip. I'm telling you. So, but yeah, man, your goal right now, your goals are going into LSU. And the reason why Brian Kelly reached out to you is because you're one of the best doing what you do. And you guys' ultimate goal is to win the national championship.
That's what it comes down to.
You know what I'm saying?
In Baton Rouge, baby, you better be trying to win that championship.
But listen, but Trip, I don't want you to evade the question though. you did not mention, you didn't tell me what names. Put some names out
I
there.
did. I told you Trey Dance,
Yes.
the tight end. I told you about Sharp. I gave you two little slick names right there that I'm looking for big things. So I told you about the quarterback. He's a ball. I mean, he's probably one of the best quarterbacks coming. He'd be, he's a talent of arm strength and leadership and things. So he's been just a joy around. He was one of the first. I walked in the weight room. He was the first one to walk up to me and come and introduce it. Is it working?
Yeah, it's working. Well, you good. We good.
Yeah, he was one of the first person. I walked in and he came up to me first. What's up, coach? You good?
Man, dude.
Then he walked through the hall. Came in my office. What up, coach? You good? Man, something tell me. I told him, I said, man, you one of the main reasons I came here because you here. You better go somewhere where they got a QB on deck. So I think,
100%.
And his humbleness and his way he moved, it's been a joy to be around. And so that's why I said I just wanted to drop you a couple names. I ain't gonna go.
Yeah, you ain't gonna put the.
Because it's gonna be fun to watch.
You got to see that. We got to wait for that spring game.
Oh yeah, we come back into this again. I'm coming back.
Yeah,
we do a post spring.
We definitely are. We definitely are. And we're gonna be wrapping it up here soon. And we talked about, you didn't want to put the pressure on these guys, as far as had the expectations. But me, I got a different mindset. But anywho, we LSU. You got to talk. We can talk a little bit more after the spring game. So what we have. You have a great quarterback. You're talking about before we had the technical difficulty. You spoke about the meetings and sitting next to the wide receiver coach. When you start talking about wide receivers, and coaches and stuff like that, and that's what And the crazy thing is this, though. This is the crazy thing about LSU. They call that the wide receiver university. Like, brother, listen, I'm gonna bet, and like, I'm big to differ. Maybe the 21st century wide, which again, but the thing is this, I'm Cincinnati strong. Yep. Last time I checked, Ohio State was wide receiver.
They got him.
Yeah. In the last, I would say in the last 6 to 7 years, about last decade, they've had some well-known. Of course, absolutely. You got my guy right here. I'm a Bengals fan. I'm Cincinnati strong. You get Jamar Chase. You have Justin Jefferson. You had last year Brian Robinson Jr.
OBJ
and the Malik Neighbors, right? OBJ.
So
Jarvis Landry.
It goes into more what they're doing in the NFL. I think is what.
And that's what it is because if you can compare, Ohio State, let's go down the line. You got starts off with Hall of Fame Chris Carter. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
He's a dog.
And then you go fast forward now to Marvin Harrison Jr.
Dog.
To now Jeremiah Smith.
Dog.
Right? Delta Reddy, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. I can keep going. But anywho, I digress. You talk, you sit next to the wide receiver coach. Y'all, and that's crazy because as you talk about wide receiver coach, we're talking about wide receiver university at being LSU. They brought you there because they're trying to get back. Because back in the day, when it came to LSU, they're known for defense, right? Do you think you guys will probably have a more of a balanced attack? Because here in the last, you had Jaden Daniels last year. Yeah. Then before that was Joe Burrow, my guy, my boy Swaggy J. You know what I'm saying? And so is it, and then of course the last couple of seasons they've been pass heavy. So the run game, since they focusing on the run game, and that's one of the reasons why they brought you in. Are you guys looking to do more run heavy, or are you looking to do balance?
Yeah.
Right.
I think the thing comes from playing to the strength of your personnel.
Yes.
And we have an elite quarterback. And so I think that's where it starts is we want to make sure we're displaying his talent and we elite on the outside. But yeah. I think there is an effort to improve the run game, which Coach Sloan was very adamant about, and what he wants to do and how he wants to get it improved. So I just want to come in and contribute any way I can with an idea that maybe, outside or something you've done before that can kind of contribute to the room. But here's what I say is comparing the team to quarterbacks who are not running quarterbacks, LSU won't be far off, and they weren't far off. Just a couple of tweaks here to build the explosive run games and, what did this guy do best and things of that nature is what we've been kind of, pounding on in the offseason, I think is already going to be drastically improved, which they had started that process before I got here as well. So it wasn't like a complete shock. I was just hoping to come in and give a different outside perspective on it, and it just aligned perfectly. So what I'll say is, what you'll see is UST more efficiency and UST, a better just overall plan together to kind of get this thing as best as we can get it. But I mean, it was already an explosive offense. It's been an explosive offense. I just think it's more tailored to what the players can do and the adjustments and just making the run game a little bit more efficient and explosive.
Right. Man, listen, that's as transparent as a coach can be. I'm gonna tell you that much. But
real.
Yep. So, now what would you say, what would you tell a kid right now, you're at LSU,
Oh, yeah.
you were at Florida State,
Oh, yeah.
Places, you went from the ACC to the SEC, which, the Big Ten kind of was the conference last year,
Great
right?
year. Had a great year.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
So,
I know
what I'm saying?
that's your babies.
That's my hey, listen, I'm a Bengals fan, so my early part of my life, Bengals suck. So all I had was a Buckeyes.
One jersey over there showing though. Where is that player from?
Hey, listen, he went to listen, but who we play for?
Who we play for? That's what I'm saying.
Who we play for? Like, so,
enough people said in the video of how you feel about LSU.
This is true. Listen, I try to be. I'm my Bengals. I'm biased. I'm real biased, but and Ohio State. But when it comes to receivers, bro, like that's my love. That's my passion. You know what I mean? And so, but so you get these Power 5, these power conferences.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell a kid? Like, what would you tell a Tarian Stevens from? And I'm not on anybody's big board because I didn't get to go to Nike camp or whatnot like that to get ranked. Because you guys LSU had a player by the name of Justin Jefferson, who was just a 2-star recruit, and he went to a camp, and he just was competing. He didn't know who the 5-star cornerbacks were.
Yeah, ball player.
He destroyed them cats, and I watched him talk about that, and he was like, I ain't going there I ain't really like gas myself up to do nothing special. I was just like, I'm here, I'm gonna compete. I ain't know what star player they were.
Absolutely.
Right. So, what would you tell a kid who's not, how do kids get to places like Florida State and LSU if they're not a 4 or 5-star recruit?
Yeah, I think at first it all starts about your resume, which is what you're doing with your own team. I tell players, number one is you want to be the best player on your team. And what I mean by best, that's not an opportunity where every player in the locker room says, if I go to them and say, tell me about, this, tell me about him, they'll say, he's one of the best players we got. And that's where it starts. You want to be an elite status player in your own right where you are. And sometimes people think that comes from production. And I'm going to give you a gem here. Production is important, but sometimes we don't even look at it because we're looking at, we come out to practice, we want to see how hard you work and what people are saying about you. Now there's a threshold of size, speed, and athleticism and change of direction and twitch and things of that nature. But there's so many exceptions to the rule that it's astronomical how many people who didn't have any of these things or just maybe one or two that still made a successful career. So what I would say is you want to make sure that when people ask you about you, everything they say is, but you're one of the best at whatever it is. And the last thing I'll tell them is when I go to a school, the first people I talk to is the custodians. And the reason is because, in Tito, you vouch for this, is that we treat janitors like they don't exist. Yeah. You are your authentic self around people who don't have authority over you. So if that person, they don't snitch on them, but if I can tell by the answer. So if I say, hey, man, tell me about Tito. Oh, man, he's awesome. Great dude. Yeah. If I say, hey, tell me about Tito. Okay, don't worry about it. You ain't say nothing else.
Yeah.
Because how you are then is how you're going to be. So what I would say is, man, make sure you're the best player in your, and guess what? That's not going to happen overnight. I get so many freshmen and things, man, I want to come and like, first of all, let your goal be the best player on your team first at your position. Start with your position, then your team. Now you're in that echelon of like, all right, now we're talking. And now we're going to get eyes on you because the team win or lose is based on your performance. And once we get to that threshold, then that's when the other things start coming. But there's so many examples of 4 and 5 stars having success. I would say, it's awesome to have that stuff. It's cool, but at the end of the day, you have so many examples of not being the end all be all. Keep doing what you do.
Man, that's respect. Now, one of the last questions I want to ask you is, it's kind of like the same question, but for aspiring young coaches, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have coaches who started off as a GA like you did over 17 years ago. And what kind of advice? Because, it's not built for everyone. it's a lot of packing up and moving, and it's a result based business, and you have family like such as yourself. You have your lovely wife and then your daughter, and I call her. Your wife's a coach. It's Coach Atkins as well,
Absolutely.
because had to endure all the moving and all the. It's hard to get your roots established, and you got family that you want to be around. Now you got a daughter. And as I asked you last week, hey, Trip, y'all gonna have you're like, man, I'm 40, bro, and this life ain't.
I'm daddy and granddaddy at the same time. I'm done. I'm getting 2 stone. I got both of them right there. Daddy already got a great beard, man.
Sure. So, but yeah, what would you tell an aspiring young coach? Hey, or a 40-year-old man like me who may want to get back into get into coaching. What advice would you give them?
My first thing I say is don't be a groupie. Don't be a guy that's gonna coach for the T-shirt that you're wearing. Because I think with how inflated the money has become in this profession of, they see the opportunity, so that loses what the job actually is. So what I tell young coaches is, if you want to coach, every opportunity you have, make sure you coach it. Anytime you can, make sure you correct any coaching. Every moment of the day, you shouldn't go through a mind in your day where you're not trying to figure out how to be a better coach. So that's the first thing, is don't be a groupie, don't be a logo chaser. Go establish. And that's me speaking from my own journey, from a guy who, when I left Marshall from GA and to go there to Wampa Community College, and Bill Legger, he told me he was worried about me because he didn't know if that was a good move for him. He was like, I don't know about going to JUCO, Atkins, and what that's going to do for your career. But my passion I didn't think about logos. I was thinking, I get to go coach. I get to go have my own room. I get to go coach football and make enough money to survive. Yep. That was my whole thought process. I didn't, there was no, I want to be this, man. I get to go make money and do something I love to do. I'm not working. So that's what led me into. So what I tell young coaches is, make sure this is what you want to do, and you're okay with whatever the result may be as far as where you end up, because this is what you said you wanted to get into. That doesn't mean you can't have goals and aspirations, but don't be a groupie. Don't be a logo chaser. Don't be, one of those guys. And the next thing is make sure, just like a player, if anybody ever brings your name up that you worked for, they vouch for you and say, there's no job too big. There's nothing they won't do to try to do everything in their power to get the team better. Even your position, but anything. If there's a piece of paper on the ground, if they say, hey, you got to go cut the grass for the team to win this game, I don't care if you're the OC, I'm going to go cut the grass. So make sure you have a servant mentality and reputation, because that is what's going to make the difference of you, whether they think that you're going to add value on the staff. Because contrary to popular belief, there's not many hookups there's relationships and guys that get hired because of the relationship, but not many people are hiring people unless they think they're going to add some value to their staff, because them pink slips are coming out quick. So make sure when people think they have to find something to motivate, or someone that they have to have on their staff, make sure that people are saying that your name is coming up. And it goes back to my coach Petita put me on game on this. He talked about, there's a essay by Ethan Hubbard called Message to Garcia. I encourage everybody to go read this. I think it's a good read as far as how to be a valuable, entity in this society.
Big time nuggets, my boy. Mm-hmm. And I hope that, the viewers and the listeners, man, you're able to pick up something when it comes to this brother, as he, expresses his journey, his ups, his downs, his relationships, his why, his chip, right? It's really no different than these players that he's coaching, man. And so, Trip, been to 9 different schools, bro. Bruh, how have you adapted to the different teams and the different roles, though? Like, doing that, bro. Like, that's a mental. How is that, bro?
First, it starts with your foundation, man, what you're rooted in. So, I'm a husband. I was a husband before I was a father. I was a Christian before I was a husband. So it's just more of whatever you're foundationally rooted in, you learn that it's all heaven. The Bible, Ecclesiastes, talks about it. Doesn't really mean much. So you more have to find what is the main thing. Keep the main thing, no matter if I'm in a mansion, an apartment, no matter if I'm in Louisiana, Florida State, wherever I'm at, the main thing is still the main thing. So you have to be rooted and grounded Now the scenery changes. Now that's all sound good for a nugget. I also better make sure my wife want to be there. So I have another recruiting job of like, when I take a job, I'm like, look, they got this and this, and we're going to do this. And like, so I'm trying to, I got
100%.
Yeah, so that sounds
100%.
good too, but I gotta sell it to her too. I gotta recruit her into it and make sure she's into the process. But you gotta have a foundation of who you are, what you're about, and what's important to you when you want to, travel that much for your professions. Man, I would compete with anybody to talk about somebody being more grounded, more rooted, more, and that's my main thing, competition of being able to handle the ups, downs, still consistently. I don't go through this and go, be different with my wife or my child when I get home. You know what I mean? When I walk through the door, I got to be who I need to be and who they expect me to be. And now, do you have vulnerable moments? Absolutely. But
yeah,
you have to make sure you're maintaining yourself, who you are above what your profession is.
Man, big dog. Hey, listen, it's nothing. He ain't nothing without a rock at home. And you're one of the fortunate ones, because I know you've coached with a lot of guys who don't have that. Who can't find that balance. They can't find it. Can't find it. And of course, we get older. At some point, we retire, and you got to look back, and you want to be able to share some of your success and some of your endeavors with someone, other significant other. To each his own. We human beings. I mean, we're not too far off as far as things that we enjoy in life. But man, Trip, ladies and gentlemen, my brother.
Oh yeah.
My teammate, my friend. I'm his fan. One of his biggest fans.
Appreciate you.
Look out for him and his LSU Tigers this upcoming season. I mean, listen, I root for you no matter where you go. I don't care what team. So, man, last thing. You talked about your wife.
Yep.
You talked about your significant other, Miss Coach Atkins. Yep. Now, you if you're not sharp, my boy, the first Black woman to coach in the NFL wins a Super Bowl.
All that. I did see that.
Yeah. Right. That's respect. So shout out. I don't forgot her name. I had it down, but I have the note right here. But Trip, man, I tell your wife I appreciate her.
Oh yeah.
My goal and my hopes, hopefully once I send you the content, then you can get it checked out to see if we can post it, because I want to get some shorts out there as soon as I can. But I would love for you to share some of this stuff with some of your players, man. I would love to give them exposure. It's not for me. It's not for the clicks. I don't care about the clicks. I care about the message. I care about the inspiration and the motivation that they're able to pass on to the next group of kids, and some of their stories need to be heard. So, but with nothing else to be said, Trip, hey, my boy, all love
you, brother.
You guys. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh yeah.
And you guys, thank you for another episode, amazing episode. 1317 Sports presents Get It Off Your Chest podcast. I'm your host, Tito. That's my man, Alex Atkins. Deuces.
Go Tigers, baby.
All right, boy. I'm brother.
We can do some. Bro, keep talking that shit, you just might move some. Apply that